Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Performance Cafe. It's really great to have you back here today, and I look forward to talking about our next topic. And we've kind of landed on procrastination. This was basically an output of all of the series that we've been running so far this year, where we were taking a look at goal setting and New Year's resolutions and why do they stick and why don't they, and what do we do with personal development once the year gets going? All of those said New Year's resolutions that go by the wayside. And I think we also even spoke about a bit of work-life balance in there. And one of the things that I think comes up so frequently when we talk about these things is procrastination. And specifically that, it's so difficult when we think about what procrastination means, because when we think someone is procrastinating, we think that they're doing nothing while they're supposed to be doing something about something very particular. And so I thought we could start off today by first taking a look at what procrastination looks like. It does not look like this necessarily. No. You see, there's other ways that people procrastinate. And I think a lot of it is driven by our culture of busyness, our understanding that busy people are important people. Therefore, if you say to someone, how are you doing? They say, oh, I'm so busy. It's because we reward that kind of behavior, right? So I wanted to take a look at 10 ways that we see procrastination show up that we might not realize. So the first one is delaying the task, or putting off the initiation of the task, not starting something, right? So we know that procrastinators often put off starting a task, even when they have everything that they need and all the time available to do it. And they may engage in less important activities in order to postpone getting started. And I think that we know this one specifically, not really from a business perspective, but if we take a look at anyone who's writing exams, so often every teenager and every school, university student, their rooms are a mess throughout the year. The moment they have to study for the exams, all of a sudden everything has to be neatly and perfectly in place. And then all of a sudden, it's very important to pack the room. Well, packing the room is just a way to delay starting the task, right? That actually needs to be dealt with. And so that is a way of procrastinating, even if it's not a sitting still kind of thing. The next way we procrastinate is by switching tasks frequently. So a lot of us will get a lot of credit for being able to multitask. Now, if you take a look at some of the leading research, they've actually shown that task switching takes very long. So when I multitask and I'm focusing on this, and someone comes to me and they say, can you quickly answer this question? And I have to actually move my attention from one point to the next point. It takes me 15 minutes to make the switch, and it can take me another 15 minutes to make that switch again. So what happens is we can't really multitask. It's not something that we're good at. But interestingly enough, that frequent task switching is something that procrastinators use in order to, either avoid starting the task or to continue with the task, or, because they just don't want to focus on it for very long. This leads to fragmented attention, and that reduces productivity, and that causes a lack of product, that causes, a worse end product. And we're going to see at the end how guilt or regret actually plays into all of this as well. So firstly, they just don't start the task. Secondly, they switch between tasks the whole time. They call it multitasking, but actually they're just avoiding the focus. Thirdly, the last minute rush. How many of us know this? Right? Because the evening before the exam, we start studying, because then I've got such brilliant focus. That last minute rush leaves tasks until the last minute, and then there's just like this overwhelming pressure that's used in order to complete said work. Well, it might complete the volume, but it certainly doesn't lead to quality work. Then number 4, just leaving incomplete tasks, right? The first one we mentioned was delaying the starting of the task. The other version is just not finishing a task. right? So it's left partially incomplete because they run out of time, they lose interest. And what happens is this just means that they tend to live in a world where they have all this subpar, incomplete work lying around. Next up, excuses and rationalizations. So procrastinators may come up with all of these reasons why they can justify the delay in task completion or even initiation, right? They blame external factors or underestimate the importance or the time that it'll take to do a task. And then they have to make up reasons why this has happened. So, for example, oh, I couldn't finish my paper because the person who was supposed to give, the person in the team who was supposed to complete their paper and then give it over to me so I could add my piece on, they never finished theirs, so I couldn't complete mine, right? It totally makes them the victim of this bigger process that they were a part of. And very often when we go and take a look, there could have been a portion that could have been completed. Let's say, for example, a preamble, an overview of the situation, which they then just had to add on a couple of sentences at the end to connect with what they were supposed to get or what they had created and connected to the next person in the line's content. None of that happens because they've rationalized that it's okay if they're late or it wasn't finished because someone else didn't do what they were meant to do. Right? Over planning or over preparation. Some of us would call this analysis paralysis as well. So procrastinators can spend an excessive amount of time just planning and organizing and preparing for a task without actually moving into action. They can get so stuck in, how am I going to do this as well as possible, that eventually they get exactly what they need to do and they have a great understanding of what the finished project must look like. But they've wasted so much time that they never actually get to move into the actual work that they need to do to complete it. Next, and this is a biggie, number 8 is seeking distractions. So procrastinators may deliberately seek out social media, sit and work in an area while there's entertainment around them. They will sit and work in an area like, for example, a coffee shop, where they know they need the focus, but they're going to be distracted by all the people around them, the noises around them. They literally go and use these distractions as a way to escape from the discomfort or the anxiety with having to complete this task, and thereby setting themselves up for failure. And it's really interesting because if you think about how quickly, if you open up an Insta link or if you open up TikTok, when you see again an hour's gone and all you've been doing is doom scrolling. So that's the kind of way that seeking distractions is a way of showing that there is procrastination. Next up, number 9, the difficulty of meeting deadlines. So procrastinators may struggle to meet these deadlines, and they might constantly be asking for extensions due to their tendency to delay completing the task up to the last minute. So either, remember, they haven't started, or they started so late that they cannot do a proper job of it in a very small amount of time. This really can cause a massive damage to their reputation, because no matter how good they are at their trade, if they cannot meet deadlines and cannot be held accountable for those deadlines, and the work, then they will battle to be able to complete, whether it is university studies or whether they're able to do work at any level. And now number 10. And number 10 is quite interesting because I think number 10 is actually a part of all of these to some extent, in that it speaks of feelings of guilt or regret. So what happens is when this has happened, when procrastinators have procrastinated and they'll feel guilt, they'll feel regret, they'll feel self-criticism. They're going to be, they most hate their own procrastination habits, right? If you think it ticks anyone else off, it's worse for them because they are doing it the whole time. And what happens is they feel this guilt or regret, which means that they then have a lot of negative self-talk about this. And that means the next time they've got to try and do something, or they've got a task to complete or a deadline to meet, they go, remember not to do that again. Remember not to do it that again. The problem is they then start building up so much anxiety about not getting into the same situation that they inadvertently land themselves up in the same situation again. Therefore, the feelings of guilt or regret actually pile up and further perpetuate the cycle of procrastination. And we're going to look at the feelings of guilt and regret in the next episode as well, when we take a look at the 3 different factors causing procrastination to happen. But for now, those are the 10 kinds of ways that we can take a look at, or those are the 10 kinds of behaviors that we can see in people around us when we're trying to understand, why are we not getting the productivity from them that we require? Firstly, do they start the task too late? Second, are they distracted by frequent switching of tasks? Number 3, do they leave everything to the last minute and then get it done? Number 4, do they stop a task randomly halfway through and leave it incomplete? Number 5, do they have excuses and rationalizations when things aren't complete? Are they trying to justify their actions? Number 6, do they avoid difficult tasks? So number 5 is excuses and rationalizations. So are they trying to justify their delay in getting tasks done? Number 6, avoidance of difficult tasks. Are they prioritizing fun or enjoyable tasks more over difficult or challenging ones? Point 6 is avoidance of difficult tasks. So often we find that procrastinators may prioritize easier and more enjoyable tasks over more challenging or unpleasant ones. So they could avoid tasks that require effort, that's going to cause discomfort, that they feel might be outside of their realm of their skills. And what they will do is they'll do all the easy stuff, and you'll see that that big, heavy, challenging goal just remains. And while they look busy because they're busy solving all these little things, there's that one thing that they don't want to do. And that is someone who is avoiding that difficult task. Just remember, it's going to be person specific. So when we talk about a difficult task, we speak about relevant to that person. So it might not be something that someone else might think is difficult, but for them, it is for some other reason. 7, is there evidence of over-planning or over-preparation? Are they analyzing and considering this from all perspectives and not moving to action? Do they seek distractions? Are they forever checking their phone? Are they putting themselves in situations where they can get distracted by the environment around them? And then number 10, do you see feelings of guilt or regret when there has been this element of procrastination? Right, so that's it on this list for today. I hope that you find it useful from a perspective of, when you take a look at team members, which of these do you see? And then in next week's episode, we're going to take a look at what are the factors that cause procrastination, so that you maybe have a handy tool once you've understood what form of procrastination they practice, to go and see where is it coming from and how we're going to help people. So that is all from me for this week. And I hope that you have found this useful. And I look forward to seeing you next week at the next Performance Cafe. Have a great one.